Hello, I'm State Senator John Kavanagh, and welcome to another edition of Kavanagh's Corner, my video constituent report. This one, the first report of this new legislative session. So let me begin. Again, I am chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, which has me intimately involved with the creation of the state budget. And the state budget, of course, is probably the most important bill, actually a small collection of bills that go through the system. The budget is the mother of all bills because it dispenses money. And any government program, any other bill that requires money to create, implement, regulate, or enforce has to have budget money. And if that money's not there, or if it's under budgeted, the program is either neutered or greatly hampered. So the budget is the key bill to watch. So let's talk about this year's budget. Now, the Arizona Constitution requires the governor to come out with her budget in the beginning of January. However, that same Arizona Constitution puts the responsibility for crafting and passing the budget on the legislature. Now, of course, the governor can veto it, and we can only override it with 2/3 majority, which won't happen because Republicans only have a 1-vote majority in both chambers. But the bottom line is, while the Constitution says the governor has to come out with a budget in January, for all practical purposes, the day after she releases it, it becomes a doorstop in the Speaker's and Senate President's office, because it is pretty much disregarded, and the Republican legislature will go about crafting the budget that we believe is reasonable, and then we meet with the governor to try to arrive at some reasonable compromise. Something far easier in the past when we had a Republican governor. Something more difficult now, although last year, frankly, it was a fairly painless activity with Governor Hobbs, the new Democrat governor. However, this year things are not looking particularly rosy because the governor released her budget, and it was one of the most unrealistic budgets I have ever seen, and I'm in my 18th year here in the legislature. The governor projected that the shortfall, because we don't have enough revenue coming in, the shortfall this year is going to be $900 million. That is absurdly optimistic. The nonpartisan Joint Legislative Budget Committee sets that figure at $1.7 billion. And if you want to continue some K-12 spending that we funded with only one-time money, which is gone this year, the real budget deficit is about $2.2 billion. Now, the governor intends to close her unrealistic $900 million gap and also add about $500 million in new programs we can't afford by gutting Republican programs. She wants to eliminate the school vouchers and the tuition STO organizations, which are critical parts of the Republican program for parental choice in education. We believe that it is the government's responsibility to provide students with K-12 education, and we do not discriminate whether the parents choose a district school, a charter school, or a private school. Under the ESA program, we reimburse up to about $7,000 a year in private school tuition, which, by the way, saves money because it costs us about $13,000 a year to educate a child in a district school. All right, so she grossly underestimates the size of the shortfall. She tries to get money by adding new programs and cutting Republican programs. So we are kind of at a stalemate right there. So we'll see what happens. I am meeting with the other budget leaders and legislative leaders of the House and the Senate. We meet together. We're crafting a response to the governor's budget. And our response will use legitimate estimates for the shortfall and reasonable cuts, fund sweeps, and other methods to get this budget balanced. We expect to do this, but based on where the governor has started, which is pretty far down the road to the left, it's going to take us some time to get there. Another big issue with respect to funding is the expansion of Proposition 123, which takes money from the state land trust and gives it to K-12 education. Now, the State Land Trust is a big bank account, and it's fed by revenues from the sale of state land, usually to companies for development. When Arizona became a state, the federal government gave Arizona a large amount of land, and much of this land is in areas that are suitable for development, especially North Phoenix. And the State Land Department auctions off this land to the highest bidder, and the proceeds go into the State Land Trust. And it's gotten pretty big, so big, in fact, that we increased the percentage of the State Land Trust that we can disperse to K-12 education 10 years ago to 6.9%. And we want to keep it that way. And because we're being told that low teacher salaries are a main reason why it's hard to attract and keep teachers, we want to dedicate all of the money that is generated from this fund for teacher pay increases. Now, the governor, she wants to also increase other school personnel salaries like bus drivers, and while they may deserve increases, we don't believe it should come from this particular pot of money, which we think is best spent on teachers, because that's what we especially need. But what the governor has done is, to get these other people into a pay raise situation, she has increased the amount of money that will be withdrawn from this trust to about 8.9%, which the state treasurer says is fiscally irresponsible and will drain and gut that fund. Fortunately, the decision to refer this matter to the voters for approval rests solely with the legislature. If both chambers pass the referral to the ballot, it goes to the voters. And because both chambers are controlled by Republicans, albeit by slim margins, we will be sending the more fiscally responsible version of Prop 123 to you, the voters, to approve or disapprove in the next statewide election. As usual, I have a lot of bills. I take my job title lawmaker seriously. I'm also very interested in public policy. Last year, if you may recall, I had 50 bills that passed out of the legislature. 30 of those bills were vetoed by the governor, which I guess is a kind of a gold star for a Republican legislator. But she signed 20 of my bills into law, and I think I had the most number of bills signed, which is often the case. This year, I have about 40 bills. I'm not really rerunning any of the bills that she vetoed. I mean, that doesn't make much sense. And because of that large number, I'm not going to list them all off to you today. So as these bills get up and are teed off for committee hearings, I'll be reporting about them and their progress here on Kavanagh's Corner. Thank you for watching.